Good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, and welcome to He Set Me Free. My name is Roberts. You know, I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a very strong man of faith. And I believe everything inside this Bible, wholeheartedly. I take nothing away, and I add nothing to it. But today, I've always had the ability, to a certain extent, to feel when something is off, when something doesn't feel right. And twice this week, I have had the exact same feeling. I woke up late this morning, or later than I typically do. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was tired. I was exhausted. Sat down with a cup of coffee and I started reading the Word of God like I do in the mornings. With the exception of yesterday. And I really wasn't in a hurry to leave. The things that I wanted to do, I probably should have went ahead and done it. Because it would not have mattered, to be quite honest. Or would it have? Whenever I got in the car and after I did my morning prayers, I was heading into Waco, something felt weird. Something felt off. Something didn't feel right. Wednesday, I had that exact same feeling. My first 2 rides of the day was on Uber. Then I dismissed a ride because it was an 8-minute ride. And they wanted me to travel 6.2 miles for that ride. And I've talked about extensively how Uber makes its money. Declined the ride, got off Uber. I probably should have stayed on Uber. Because what took place for Lyft the rest of the day was not impressive by any stretch of the imagination. I had 12 rides. I made a lousy $70. 8 of that, or 9 of that, was from tips. So technically I only made about $60 for 12 rides. 8 of those 12 rides were earnings of $6.40 or less. Today was a very deep discount day. And by the type of passengers that I had today, and I'm going to demonstrate or show you exactly what I'm talking about. Whenever I talk about you need to know your areas, because if you know your areas, then you can kind of gauge at what kind of day you're going to have. I mainly got stuck in a certain area. This area robbed me of having really good rides. But not only that, I got less desirable passengers. Now, this is a picture, a screenshot off of Apple Maps of Waco. Okay, the highlighted areas, as I will try to show on here, if it will stay where it's supposed to, will show you the areas of Waco where drivers need to avoid, if at all possible, to make decent money. This area right here, this is the area where Uber likes to charge less money. This is north of Waco Drive. This area right here, the red zone, is a death area. This area right here are typically all short areas, or short distant ride areas. This area right here typically can go anywhere in Waco, but it falls into the category of this area. for Lyft. But it varies. This is down here is the area that most drivers want. These are higher income areas, more affluent area. All right. So as you can see, and then this area right here is downtown Waco. Now I got stuck from, that's Waco, or that's I-35. This is Waco Drive. I got stuck from Waco Drive. Yeah, from Waco. Hold on. I got stuck from this area. This is Waco Drive right here. All right, so I'm backwards. From Waco Drive, it was literally a box from here to here to here. Actually, I picked up a passenger out there, down or carried a passenger out there, which I didn't get paid enough. It was only $7. I picked him up downtown, carried him out to here, and then they sent me out to this area right here twice. But I was mainly in this little area right here, or actually right here. The Baylor area, right here. From here to here is 3 miles. From here to here is 5 miles. So I'm in basically a 6-mile radius. But like I said, this is the area where Uber likes to keep passengers trapped. And here. Okay? You start getting out here, this is the danger zone. That's why it's red. You're not going to make any money out here. This is a severely impoverished area. The only way that you make decent money is if you bring people back into Waco. But very few of these rides end up coming back into Waco. These stay all local. You get stuck in this downtown area, you're screwed. They're all short rides. This area here will take you into the Waco area and over to here where Amazon is right there. This is where, this area right here is where all your factory work is, your manufacturing area. All right. This area right here is low-income apartments and projects and low-income housing. Now I share that because I wanted to give y'all a visual of what it is like here in Waco. The demographics in and of itself is telling. 28% of Waco's population lives under the national poverty level. 28%. I would roughly guesstimate that it's more than that. But when you get stuck in certain areas like I did today, at $6.40 or less per ride, we'll go with $6.40. 10 rides, that's only going to make you $60.40. 11 rides, $66.80. 12 rides, $73.20 for 13 rides. 14 rides, need I go more? $79.60. To break $100 at the rate I was going today, I would have to have had 20 rides to make $100. Finally, I had my fill. I had perfect intentions of going and doing my walk today for 3.5 miles and get some exercise. I'm going to go back to my spirituality here in a second and my faith. I was so aggravated. I went to the vape store. I got some vape juice and some coils. I had my vice. Don't judge me. And I came straight home. Completely forgot about working out because my mind's not there yet. But after I got home, I was thinking about doing this video. And something came to my mind through the power of the Holy Spirit. In Daniel 3, Michael the archangel appears to Daniel and says that I would have come to you sooner, but Satan was opposite of me. Oftentimes enough, I like today and like on Wednesday and other times in the past, I have felt that there was something preventing me from being as successful as I needed to be for that day. That I felt that there was an opposing force against me. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt, and actually as I see here, it comes to mind with what I read in Ezekiel, or was it Ezekiel? No, Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 6. The enemy's plot. If you read the whole chapter, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's exactly how I felt today. And then now, as I sit here and I talk to you, now I know why that chapter felt so powerful. But then, like I said, before I started doing this video or after I got home, I felt as if there was something preventing me. That's not the first time I felt like that. There was probably a 4-month period before I got my new car that I felt like Gideon did and the Israelites going back in Judges, because Gideon was the first judge. That every time the Israelites would get something, the Moabites, the Ammonites, and others would come and take everything away from them. And they left nothing. In other words, there was an opposing enemy. That's exactly how I felt today spiritually. Because there was something very odd about whenever I was praying. And I had my head bowed. And it felt like there was something over my eyes. That there was a scarf or an eye covering. It didn't feel right this morning at all. It felt like, kind of like what Daniel went through whenever he was talking to Michael the archangel. That he felt like his prayers wasn't being heard. The Bible's very clear that Satan can stop our prayers. That he can hinder them. God can hear everything, but that he can hinder them. Today I felt like it was a trap, just like Wednesday was. That it got me upset to keep me from going out and exercising. Now, there's been a handful of times in the past with Lyft and with Uber where I would become so aggravated, so frustrated, so angry that I would literally be beside myself. It's only happened a few times, not many at all. But today was definitely one of those days. If I would have done something a little different, if I would have went ahead and took my time and left after 6 o'clock, things could have been different. If I would not have started off on Uber, but just waited. I need to start listening more to that feeling that I get about not leaving early. Because I'm a firm believer that nothing happens without a purpose and a reason. And sometimes I feel these energies. Oftentimes enough I've said, something doesn't feel right. Something feels off. And sure enough, Hands down. That's the way that it goes. Don't get me wrong, I am blessed with what God allowed me to have. But for a Friday on a long weekend, there's no excuse for only making the money that I made. At all. None. This is payday weekend for a lot of people. There's no excuse for it for Lyft to be that greedy and to throw out. I know it's at the end of the month, but it is the last payday of the month. The last one. So there's no excuse for it. They're going by calendar days, not by pay periods in a month. So there's no excuse for it whatsoever. None. Zero. They pulled an Uber today. Hands down. But my driving score is up to 99%. The highest it's ever been since they started that. And my acceptance rating is at 97%, or at least it was, but I declined to ride because they wanted me to drive 15 miles. It was a round trip, and 15 miles another direction for $10. 30 miles for 10 lousy dollars. I was not going to do it. There was no pickup eligible. There was no nothing whatsoever. Zero. I flat refused to do it. They had already cheated me more than they should have, and I'm gonna double check see if it dropped or not while I'm on here with y'all. And see, now they're running their stupid little things, which is a trap. Yep, it dropped a point because I declined that ride. My acceptance rating didn't drop, but my driving score did for some reason. I don't know why. I don't care. After today, I made better money whenever my acceptance rating was at 74%. And my driving score was at 78%. I made better money. And even all the way up into the mid-80s. The higher those numbers went up, starting yesterday, the worse the rides and the money got, and the worse the passengers. I noticed that on Uber. Whenever my acceptance rating and my cancellation rating was high and low, the money fell off. Completely. It got bad. It wasn't until I started declining rides this past year and canceling rides that my money started to shooting up. But because thanks to Uber's AI, I don't get the rides like I used to anymore. At all. That started 6 weeks ago. So I quit driving for Uber for the most part. My drive time now is primarily Lyft, 90% of the time. But days like this, I should have packed it up and came home. Because accepting rides like that back to back to back to back to back, you might as well be paying me $3.15 every ride for the miles that I had to drive to pick those people up and to drop them off. There was no pickup, not one ride, pickup included. Not one. And there was no hourly bonus. There was no bonuses at all. Zero. See, now it is 1 o'clock and they want to start doing that kind of crap because they expect me to go back into Waco. It's not happening again today. At all. But Fridays also has a tendency to bring out more drivers that typically don't drive during the course of the week. It'll pick up tomorrow. Tomorrow should be a pretty good day. Sunday should be a decent day. Monday is up in the air. It's Memorial weekend. So, we'll see. Know your areas, ladies and gentlemen, that drive for Uber and for Lyft, like I do. That's the only way that you can know what kind of day that you're going to have. That first ride on Lyft was a key indicator of how my day was going to go, because that put me in a very targeted area. And I do mean targeted, because your first ride on Lyft will dictate where you're going to drive. And you can take and put it into a box. I never got any ride. Actually, I got one ride. And I carried him right back to the area that they stuck me in. That's another key indication. If you find yourself traveling out to pick somebody up and to bring them right back in that area, you now know that they have you zoned in an area. But you will not take anybody out of that area. That's another key indication too. You will not take anybody out of that area at all. They will stick you in that area, and it will be nothing but short rides. What is this? Hold on a second. I just got an interaction with Lyft about something on TikTok. I don't even know what this is. We came across this Lyft. I don't know. Anyway, if I find out what it is, I'll let y'all know at a later date. I guess they found me on TikTok, maybe. I have no idea. What are you barking at? I have no idea what that was. None. What's up for? All right, I'm not going about. So, be mindful of what I'm showing you. Oh, and they also too, what I talked about yesterday, I accepted a ride. It was supposed to be $5 and some change. Whenever I went back and looked at that ride, it was for $3.15 to a halfway house. I now know anybody that, and I give them bad ratings. I don't want former criminals inside my house, inside my car that's in a halfway house. Just like picking up people from these shady motels that are full of drugs. I had 5 of those today. 5. And you can spot them. Hands down. These are rides that Lyft, that they know how to play the game. They know when to use Lyft, and they take advantage of it because they don't use the app that much, so they get discounts and they take advantage of it. And it's the end of the month where Lyft starts spamming people. We'll give you, so much off of a ride. And that's exactly what I felt like I was today. The passengers I got today was like last Sunday. It was like I was working for Uber. Because that's the kind of people that I would pick up on Uber. And not high quality passengers, that people that you can talk to and be engaged with and have a good time with for the time that they're in the car. They're silent, they're rude, they've got some strange energies on them. And all that they do is they transfer their energies from them to you and make you mad because you're looking at the money that you're making. That's bad energy. That's bad juju. That's Satan working against me today to keep me from making the kind of money I made last Friday, which was $167. I didn't even come close to that today at all. And it should have been for a holiday weekend. So, this is my rant. Hope everybody has a safe weekend that's out there driving here in the United States. Be mindful of everything that I bring to you each and every time I come on and talk to you. Because I want you to be just as educated and not make the same mistakes I made through trial and error. It's the only way that you're going to be successful. I wish for everybody to be successful. And I do mean everybody. Because this is what we do. Until these companies realize that they are nothing without us, they will continue to take advantage of us and to try to cheat us out of every dime that they can and give discounts. If you start seeing discounts, my advice, cut your losses and go home, because it's not going to get any better. Something else too. Typically, and I need you to hear what I'm about to say. Typically, within your first 3 rides, Uber's the exact same thing. You can tell exactly how much your average ride's going to be. You can also tell how many miles you're going to have to drive to pick somebody up, and how many miles for in trip. Your entire day will be dictated within that first 3 rides. With Lyft, it's a little different. With Uber, that's how it is. And it will not deviate from that. You can practically, with a plus or minus of about 10%, know exactly how much money you're going to make inside that day, if they zone you. With Lyft, if you accept any ride, see, my day started out good with Lyft, but then it started to drop. Once I accepted a ride for $3.15, that average now became $6.50, because my high ride was $9 and some change. My low ride was $3.15. All right. The average. What is the average in between the two? $6.50. After that high ride of $9 and some change, I only had one ride thereafter that was $7. The rest of them were all under $6.50. Every single one of them. Take your first 3 rides, what your high ride is and what your low ride is, and find the medium there, and that is what your average rate will be for that day. It just hit me. Like last Sunday. So, keep that in mind too. If you start to see that you're in a ballpark of you won't exceed over X amount of miles and the area that you're in, do the math. What's your high ride? What's your low ride? Divide it by, add them together and divide by 2. That will be your medium income. Think I'm lying? Let's do the math. $9.72 plus 3.15 equals, divide by 2 equals $6.17. I was not that far off at all. And actually, if I was to add that third ride before that, which was $7 and some change, hold on, let's do the math again. I think it was like 736 plus 972 plus 3.15 equals the crap. 3.15 plus 9.72 plus 7.48 equals, divide by 3 equals $6.78. Right in that ballpark. The math adds up, folks, because the majority of my rides were in the $6.40 range. 30 plus or minus 30 cents. I'm not trying to spin it. I want you to know the truth. Hey, y'all be blessed. I hope this video helps everybody out. Share it with people. Talk with other drivers with regards to the information. Get smarter. Remember, wisdom is knowledge, and knowledge is power. Y'all be blessed.